greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name's John Campia, and this is a companion video. What is a companion video? I'm glad that you asked. See, every day on the John Campia Show from Monday through Friday, we take time for live questions, but we don't always have time to get around to all of the live questions that get sent in. I want to make sure those questions get answered, so I bring all those Super Chat questions over here, and we address them on a video in the companion videos. So, without any further ado, let's dive right into it today and start getting caught up. Most of these come from Friday's John Campia Show. That's where we kind of ran out of time on Friday, and so let's get rolling on this. Spencer Main writes, "Hey John, the Oscars are looking to be a dumpster fire of a telecast, so it's going to be fun watching it with you. Can't wait for the stream." Yeah, so what we're doing this year at the Oscars is me, obviously Anne, Robert Meyer Burnett, and Ashley. We're going to be streaming ourselves watching the Oscars. It's going to be really low quality. It's just going to have a webcam on us watching the Oscars, and you can watch the Oscars along with us. Will it be a dumpster? I don't know. Honestly, look, has this year been a bit of a dumpster fire of the year for the Academy? Yeah, between the whole best popular film category fiasco, the way they completely botched the search for a host, then the way this whole thing about cinematography and editing, it's been a botched year. It doesn't mean the telecast won't be good. I mean, it doesn't mean it will be good either, but I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean the telecast will be bad. We'll have to wait and see. So, I mean, the Academy has just botched everything, but still the Oscars, and let's see how it turns out. Hopefully you guys will watch along with us. Okay, next one. Avenge the Chicken, I like that name, writes, so when is Meryl Streep, Brad Pitt, X-Men, Deadpool, Shia LaBeouf, Will Smith, Amy Adams, Glenn Close, and the Avengers be joining the cast of Dune? Yeah, so just in the last couple of days, like we've had Stellan Skarsgård join the cast of Dune. We've had Javier Bardem join the cast of Dune. Then we just had Jason Momoa join the cast of Dune, already joining people like Timothée Chalamet, Rebecca Ferguson, on and on and on. It is, I mean, seriously, there's a debate to be had right now about what is the most stellar cast of a film this year. Dune or Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That's got like DiCaprio and Pitt and Margot Robbie and things like that. It's coming together really good. And you're right, Avenge the Chicken. I just keep waiting every single day to open up my newsfeed and say, who's joined Dune now? Because it seems like everybody else is. Dixon Whitesides writes, Jason Momoa has now joined the cast of Dune. Wow. Could this be the next great sci-fi movie? Speculation, of course, but man, this is looking special. Big thing, cast don't make a movie good. Cast can bring the best performance they can, which can elevate a movie, for sure. But a great cast doesn't make a great movie. If you don't have the story, if you don't have the dialogue, if you don't have, you can put the greatest cast in the world. Look, you can put Al Pacino, Daniel Day-Lewis, Meryl Streep, Regina King, Denzel Washington. I don't know. You can put the greatest cast in the world in, I don't know. What's a good, terrible movie? I'll just keep going back to Assassin's Creed because that movie was awful. Anyway, you could put all of them in Assassin's Creed. And by the way, they had a really good lead actor in it, and Michael Fassbender. It wouldn't make the movie much better. It would still be a bad movie. So, to me, when talking about the potential for, I get excited for the cast because that means the acting will be on point. We know the acting is going to be on point, but you still need the rest of the film to be a good film in order to elevate this movie. The thing that gets me most excited about, of course, is two things. Number one, the source material is fantastic. Number two, you got Denis Villeneuve, who's one of probably top 2 or 3 best directors right now, right? Maybe one of the top 2 or 3 right now. Those are the reasons I get most excited. It won't just be because of the cast, but yeah, man, every time they announce a new cast member, it just gets me a little bit more excited. Okay, Vishal Shethi writes, my first super chat. Well, thanks so much for that, Vishal. Saw Grandma's Boy. Oh, we don't talk enough about Grandma's Boy. I love Grandma's Boy. For the first time, how hot was Linda Cardinelli in that? I never know how to pronounce her last name. Couldn't get my eyes off her when she was on screen. Well, yeah, she was stunning in that, and she's a beautiful woman anytime. Guys, let's talk for a second about Grandma's Boy. Grandma's Boy is this little comedy that very few people gave a shot to. Very few people gave a shot to. And it is freaking hilarious. It's one of the first movies, too, that really kind of took place around the video game world a little bit. And Kevin Nealon plays like this video game company executive. Anyway, the movie is a treasure. All right. This is about this guy who's a video game tester for a video game company, and he loses the place where he lives because his roommate forgot to pay the rent, and now he's got to move in with his grandma, and it's great. It's just funny. And it's one of those movies where, as a comedy, it doesn't do a lot else well, but it nails the humor, and you find yourself laughing through the whole film and having a really good time. Please check out Grandma's Boy because it's great. All right, AJ Taylor writes, Rian Johnson's Brick is a truly underrated gem. Well, I don't know if it's underrated because everybody, I've never met anybody who didn't like Brick. Now, I'm not saying there aren't people out there who don't like Brick. Obviously, there are. All films subjective. I'm just saying I can never remember a single person I've ever talked to about Brick that didn't love Brick. Brick's a great movie. And so I don't know if I can call it underrated since everyone I've talked to that sees it really loves it. So I don't know if you can call it underrated, but it's wonderful. Zachary Buckler writes, almost done with my 2018 Best Picture nom binge. That's a good thing to do every year. The only movie that I wish I had skipped was The Favorite. Ooh, too artsy-fartsy for me. Thoughts? Oh, I thought it was a great movie. I thought the story of it was fantastic. They build the drama through the film. Terrific performances all across the board from Olivia Cooke to Emma Stone. Just on and on. You got 3 of the actresses in the film were nominated for Academy Awards. I personally thought it was very good. Would I put it in my top 5? No. Did it even make my personal top 10? No. But I thought it was a really good film personally. But hey, man, not all films are for everybody, and this one didn't work for you, then it didn't work for you. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was quite good. Let's see. Aditya Randhawa writes, moving to Edmonton, Alberta, the great nation of Canada from Dallas, Texas. I'm going to miss my AMC Stubbs A-list. Yeah. There used to be a time when there were some AMC theaters in Canada, but they took them out of Canada a long time ago. Unfortunately, now you're going to be stuck with Cineplex, but whatever. Which at one point I would have said is a good thing, but they've become pretty vile. They've become pretty shady, Cineplex. So that's the one thing I'm not looking forward to moving back to Canada. And I am looking forward to moving back to Canada, but the one thing I'm not looking forward to is the fact that I'm going to have to go to Cineplex theaters. It's such a shame that they used to be great. They used to be awesome, but now they are what they are. Going to the home of Wayne Gretzky, Stanley Cup champions, the Edmonton Eskimos. But it's a good move because Edmonton and Calgary, that's the West. There's British Columbia, which is further west than Alberta, but British Columbia feels more like an East Coast town to me in many ways, but Vancouver does. Edmonton and Calgary are like the West. And I think if you're going to move from Texas, the best place for you to move into Canada is like Edmonton or Calgary. You'll probably go to the Calgary Stampede, all that kind of stuff. I think you're going to have a good time. I love Edmonton. Love Edmonton. All right. Pedro Ordonez writes, how do you feel about when some directors trash Rotten Tomatoes for ruining the movie industry? I love the site and hate when people give it a bad rap. Well, a couple things to recognize here, Pedro. Number one, it's very, very few directors that do it. It's very, very few. And if you'll notice, it's usually when their movie gets bad reviews. So they're a little butthurt when they do it. Look, Rotten Tomatoes, it is crazy how many people still don't get what Rotten Tomatoes is and how Rotten Tomatoes works. Rotten Tomatoes doesn't give anything. Rotten Tomatoes doesn't give movies a score. Rotten Tomatoes doesn't review a movie. Rotten Tomatoes doesn't give your movie a number. All Rotten Tomatoes does is go out, see all the film critics, be they print, online, whatever. They go get all the film critics stuff, and they simply do the math. This percentage of critics like the film. This percentage of critics do not like the film. Here's the percentage. So when you see Rotten Tomatoes 83%, that's not Rotten Tomatoes saying that that movie is an 83% quality. No, that's not what they're saying. What they're saying is, all it is saying that, hey, we surveyed all the film critics, and 83% of film critics liked that movie. which means 17% didn't like the movie. That's all. We're not saying how much they liked it or how much they hated it. We're just saying, hey, 83% of the film critics say they like it. That's it. It's just that simple. So for a director to cry and whine and bitch and moan that Rotten Tomatoes isn't doing anything. They're simply telling you what everybody else is saying. 83% of the critics out there say they liked the movie. 17% say they didn't. That doesn't necessarily mean that an 83% movie on Rotten Tomato is better than a 75% rating. It's just saying that more of the critics liked it than liked that one. But maybe the critics that liked the 75% one thought it was the best film of the year. So it's not specific. It's just a general thing. Rotten Tomatoes just tells you how many critics liked it and how many didn't. That's it. Nothing more complicated than that. And for any director to say, oh, Rotten Tomatoes, blah, blah, blah. Oh, so you're just butthurt that there's a site telling people that critics didn't like your movie. That's all you're crying about. You want it, keep it a secret. Don't let people know my movie's bad. I have no time for directors that do that. I mean, and I know some really good directors have done that, but again, it's few and it's rare, and it's just, it's sad when they do it. It's sad when they do it. Anyway, Ryan Lohner writes, saw Jurassic Park on my 9th birthday. First shot of the Brachiosaur was my generation's version of the first shot of Star Wars and made me a movie fan for life. Dude, you're completely right. It was the first big step forward in what visual effects in movies can be, really, since Star Wars. I mean, yeah, you had the T2 and you had, but it was that. And by the way, George Lucas very famously talks about how seeing Jurassic Park is what convinced him now is the time that we can do new Star Wars movies, because now the technology has caught up to where my vision is. It was a staggering moment. That scene where Sam Neill, he sees the dinosaur and his hand shakes and he grabs his glasses to take them off to look up. That was all of us. We were all shaking and trembling when that happened. I mean, it was unbelievable. And yeah, it was. And I don't think we've had another, like, The Phantom Menace, as bad of a movie as it is, was revolutionary in its visual effects. I mean, nothing had ever come close when The Phantom Menace came out in its visual effects. But really, we haven't had that moment again. And I don't know that we ever will. I think now we're just so used to seeing visual effects look almost perfect now. I don't know that we're ever going to have that, what am I looking at, moment again like we did in Jurassic Park. But yeah, anyway. Good observation, Ryan. All right, Best D14 writes, Sam, if you were here right now, Mom is a babe, and I'm going to hell again. Supernatural. By the way, I think there was a new episode. When's the next episode? No, they didn't put out a new episode this week, I don't think. Yeah, the last episode I saw was the 300 episode with, why am I always forgetting the name of the guy who plays Sam and Dean's dad? Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Jeffrey Dean Morgan was in the episode, came back as their dad. Awesome episode, had a great time. Oh God, I love Supernatural. They just got renewed for season 15. I can watch this show for another 10 years. Chris Miner writes, better performance of a young Star Wars character, Glover as Lando or McGregor as Obi-Wan. Ooh, I'll tell you what, that's close. And here's why it's close. Now, there are going to be some of you that are screaming, you McGregor, but hold on a second. Ewan McGregor I think Ewan McGregor grew more and more into that role. And by the time you got to Revenge of the Sith, he really had become Obi-Wan by Revenge of the Sith. But I don't know that I would say that for The Force Awakens, for The Phantom Menace. I don't know that I would say that for The Phantom Menace. So if you were to compare their first films as younger versions of characters, I would actually give the nod to Donald Glover as Lando. His Lando was fantastic. Donald Glover's Lando was spot on, in my opinion. Like, he owned it. I can't say the same for Ewan McGregor in the first prequel. Now, if you want to then compare Crispin Glover as Lando in Solo versus Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith, then I may lean towards Ewan McGregor. Because by that point, he's in his third film. Ewan McGregor had really taken ownership of Obi-Wan. He had really found his way into the role. And when you looked at him then, you just saw Obi-Wan. So, yeah, I would give the edge there. But if we were comparing their first time as that younger character, I might actually give the nod to Donald Glover, to be honest. All right. Beast Gaming writes, I assure you, brother, the sun will shine on us again. What do you think Loki meant by this? It seems cryptic, almost like he knows something. I think it meant nothing. Honestly, I don't think it meant anything. And you're right, it does sound like it's cryptic. I think it was just Loki being a Norse god. I think it was Loki just speaking poetically. I assure you, brother, the sun will shine on us again. I think it was just a good line. That's all. I honestly, no, I don't think Loki saw into the future. I don't think Loki is prophetic. I don't think he had a secret, double-edged, triple backstabbing plan in his back pocket. I think he was just trying to encourage his brother. And maybe be a little distracting to Thanos. Because, Thanos was like, your optimism is misplaced. Maybe that was the reaction Loki was trying to get at. Maybe he was just trying to keep him distracted. I honestly don't think there was anything more to it than that, though. Although I would love to see Loki come back. But even then, that would be another fake death by Marvel. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Chad's Big Huge Geek Commentary writes, one thing I'm surprised no one has brought up about Frozen 2 trailer. To me, it's that Disney knows the fans are now 6 years older and letting the franchise grow with its fan base. Hashtag Han had it coming. I kind of said the same thing on, I think it might have been an open mic on Saturday. I think I may have said the same thing on Saturday. That is one of the neat things about it, is that maybe one of the reasons that, by the way, the Frozen trailer, the new Frozen 2 trailer is really good. And I'm surprised how many people are saying, yeah, that trailer is really good. When you expect people to go, oh, it's just Frozen, it's kiddie. That a lot of people like the trailer. It's very good. And I was a little surprised by it because it was a little more intense, a little more dramatic, dare I say a little bit more dark than I was expecting. But you bring up a really good point, Shaq, and I think I mentioned it myself earlier, is that they kind of get that their original audience for Frozen 2 is now a little bit older, and they've grown with it a bit. And I think that is something, Chad, that I think we should keep in mind. Now, I do not think for a second that Frozen 2, the movie, is going to be that intense and that dramatic and that dark, all right? I think you're going to get a lot of songs. You're going to get your let it go moment. You're going to get whatever. I don't think it's going to be that dark. And I think in subsequent trailers, I think we're going to get, once we start getting dialogue and a little bit more of what the story of this movie is going to be, I think we're going to see it lighten up a bit. But it was a pretty impressive first trailer. All right. Chad follows up with, new pet peeve, Feige. We're going to start to develop the Fox properties in about 6 months. Fans, oh my God, confirmed. Fantastic Four, Galactus, and Wolverine are in Endgame. I know, Chad. Oh my God. People keep saying, what do you think of the chances that Wolverine shows up in Endgame? What do you think that the big cloud of Galactus comes over the Earth in the post-credit scene and blah, blah. It's like, folks, Kevin Feige has said over and over and over and over again that they haven't even started thinking about the Fox characters yet. They've put no time or thought into the Fox characters yet. The Fox Disney deal still isn't even closed yet. They haven't even finished the Fox Disney deal. It's not even official yet. It will be pretty soon, but it's not even official yet. And you're right, the other day, about a month ago, Kevin Feige specifically said, we will start to develop ideas in about 6 months. Like, after we've got Endgame behind us, after we got, Far From Home behind us, once the Fox Disney deal is 100% closed and finished and it's all set now, blah, blah. He came out and said, we'll start to develop that stuff in about 6 months. Develop doesn't mean shooting. It means sitting down and actually having a meeting going, okay, what do we do with the X-Men characters now? That's what he said. That's when we're going to start to develop it. That's when we're going to start to talk about it, is in about 6 months. After it's all wrapped. But you're right, Chad. I keep seeing all over the place people saying, I bet you anything that Wolverine's going to show up in Endgame and Fantastic Four will show up in Endgame. It's like, guys, they're not. Feige has said it over. Now, let's not pretend that Feige hasn't ever given us a little bit of misdirection, but in this case, he's absolutely right. The deal's not even closed yet. They can't. They can't. Because if they started working on these properties before the government gives final approval to it, they'll say, oh, this is collusion. And it could kill the deal. They can't. Even if Feige wanted to, they can't. Anyway, so because of that, combined with the fact that Feige has repeatedly said, no, nothing is going on yet with X-Men, Fantastic Four, none of that stuff. We're going to start to develop those ideas in about 6 months, blah, blah, blah. When you put all that together, I think it's pretty clear. Now, again, let's keep that 1% in consideration that Feige has misled, but it's not just Feige saying it, it's the circumstances. He can't. But anyway, I agree, Chad. It's a bit of a irritation. Okay, Jacob Ibarra writes, during the final battle in Eight-Legged Freak, Scarlett Johansson, oh my God, I totally forgot that she was in that movie. I totally forgot Scarlett Johansson was in that movie. During the final battle in Eight-Legged Freak, Scarlett Johansson gets bit by the giant black widow, thus becoming the heroes we know her today. Jacob, how have we not seen that before? How have we been so blind that the MCU is a shared cinematic universe with Eight-Legged Freaks? You've cracked the code, Jacob. I totally forgot she was in that. I remember, Eight-Legged Freaks is a very bad movie. David Arquette. It's a very bad movie, but I will confess, it's one of those bad movies that I kind of had some fun with. It's very bad. You're not going to get any arguments from me, but I kind of had fun in it, and I totally forgot about Scarlett's role in that. All right. Jordan Benjamin writes, do you guys have any theories on the Knights of Ren, and will they play a big part in Episode 9? I think they'll be huge in Episode 9, and find out Kylo killed Snoke, leading to a group of big bads who then exile him. I don't think so. I do think the Knights of Ren, and again, guys, let me be very, very, very clear. What I'm about to say has nothing to do with any insider information. This is just me as a fan like you giving my personal speculation. I do believe the Knights of Ren are going to play a role in the movie. Of that, I feel pretty good. I think we're going to have the Knights of Ren play a role in the movie. Huge? No. Nah, I don't think so. I think they're going to be there. They're going to have a part to play in the movie. But remember, and the whole thing about they're going to find out he killed Snoke, well, it doesn't matter. Remember, Snoke referred to Kylo as the master of the Knights of Ren. He's the master of the Knights of Ren, whether Snoke is there or not. Kylo Ren is the master of the Knights of Ren. So I don't think that would happen either way. And again, I don't think it'll be a huge role. I think they'll be there, and they'll be cannon fodder for Rey to rip through. Because, every hero has to have a bunch of cannon fodder that they can rip through before they get to the big bad and then have a real fight. So, the Avengers had the Chitauri, right? They just ripped through all the Chitauri. In Infinity War, they had the space dogs. That was their cannon fodder. They would just rip through the space dogs and then come across a Black Order member and have a serious fight and then face Thanos and get their asses handed to them. But I think the Knights of Ren will play a role, but it will be ultimately really to be a threatening presence that are ultimately just cannon fodder for Rey as she makes her way to Kylo. That's what I think. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. All right. Zachary Buckler writes, my movie pet peeve, the bomb. Oh, absolutely. The bomb is set to blow in 5 minutes. 10 minutes later, movie/problems later, the bomb is set to blow in 30 seconds when it's been 10. Totally. Absolutely. It's like, I've seen so many things like, okay, we got 90 seconds. And then like 4 minutes later, we only have 10 seconds left. It's like, wait, what? Totally. You know what a good expression of that? I can't remember which, I think it was Fast and the Furious 6, where Luke Evans is one of the Shaw brothers. And it's that big climactic scene when they're on the jet and the jet is racing down the runway for like 20 minutes. It's like, how long is this runway? How long is this runway? So it's kind of akin to that thing. It's like, oh, we've only got such and such time. we have only got a little bit of time, blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of like the runway. It's like, quick, we got to stop this plane before it takes off, before it gets to the end of this runway and takes off. Oh, but the runway is 65 miles long. Like, absolutely, that's one. All right, Robert Perez writes, have a great weekend. Well, thank you, Robert. It's still the weekend. As a matter of fact, I've had a great weekend, having a good time. And as a matter of fact, I got a friend of mine coming over tonight. I love doing this. I love watching movies that I really like with friends who haven't seen it before. Tonight, I've got a good friend of mine coming over tonight, and she has never seen Avengers Infinity War yet. So her and her husband and me and Ann, we're getting together at our place tonight. We're going to have some dinner, and we're going to watch Infinity War. I love watching movies I love with people who haven't seen it yet. I don't know why. It's just one of my favorite things as a film fan, so I'm looking forward to that. And thanks for the well wishes, Robert. I hope you've had a good weekend, too. All right. Raymond Verrata writes, I'm Batman. I know, and Ben Affleck, of course, this week declaring, we talked about it on the show on Friday, Ben Affleck declaring, I'm not Batman. So it's official. He's not just out of Matt Reeves' film. He's done as Batman. They retired his cape and cowl. He's done. So now Raymond is saying, I'm Batman. Hey, it's open. But you know what? I still think this. You know, a lot of people saying, okay, now let the hunt for the new Batman begin. I think the new Batman's already been cast. It's already been cast. We just don't know who it is yet. As a matter of fact, I think it's already been cast for a while. I think the new Batman has been cast for a while. Because remember, Ben Affleck talked about this, like, well, after the fact that Ben actually agreed to be Batman and they signed their deal 6 months before they made the official announcement. 6 months before they made the official announcement. So I firmly believe they've already cast their Batman. We just don't know who it is yet. Jordan Benjamin writes, also, I did fan art for John and Rob. I was going to draw Ashley. Work has been crazy busy. Sorry. What character would you like to be drawn as, Ashley? Well, she's not here, but somebody else asked her that before, and she's leaning toward Captain Marvel. And somebody else drew her as Captain Marvel, too. So I think she's a good fit for a Captain Marvel sketch. So I would say take a shot at her as Captain Marvel. That's my guess. But if she was here, maybe she would say something different, Jordan. But I would say give it a crack as Captain Marvel. Let me know how that turns out. All right. Mark C. writes, Raymond is lying. I'm Batman. And let the battle begin. Let everybody now wants to line up to be Batman. Raymond is now. We've got the battle of the Batman going on between Raymond and Mark. All right. Santez Henderson writes, now headlines will be ran as confirmed. Ben Affleck will be the retired Batman in Batman Beyond movie. Yeah, you know that's going to come. Batman, like Affleck saying, I'm retired as Batman. So that means he's the retired Batman in Batman Beyond. I know that's coming. No, won't happen. You know, somebody asked the other day, Santez, too, kind of tying into what you're joking about, but somebody was asking me on an open mic the other day, over or under, 25% that Ben Affleck will be in an MCU movie. And I actually think way under, because this is his second go at being in comic book movies. And he's met with a lot of backlash and a lot of problems in both. Of course, Daredevil, which I like, and as his run as Batman. So I don't know. I don't think we're going to see him in any comic book movie again. I don't think we're going to see Ben want to be in any comic book movie again, let alone another Batman, one that has Batman in the title. ZOMG Ruler writes, some are saying Ben leaving is a publicity stunt. Oh, that it's not. Look, we've known for 2 years that he was done as Batman. I told you guys 2 years ago he was done as Batman. The Hollywood Reporter confirmed what I said 18 months ago when they said Ben Affleck is out. I mean, we've known about this for years. We've known about it for years. It's not a publicity stunt. All right. Mrinal Alira writes, recently discovered your channel. You guys are awesome. Oh, thank you so much. Now, I want to try this name again. Mrinal, I'm going to go with that. Aliar. I'm the worst. Well, if you're new to the channel, Mrinal, you haven't learned yet. I'm awful at pronouncing names. I'm terrible. The worst. Like the worst. So forgive me. If I'm mispronouncing your name, don't worry. You're in good company because I mispronounce everybody's name. But welcome to the channel, man. Thanks for coming along. And I hope you're going to be with us for a long time in this little film fan community we have. All right. Next one. Gaitlin Winter writes, Why do you think Captain Marvel opening box office went from 160 million to 100 million? I hope it does good opening weekend because of this. This is a big misunderstanding going around right now. One organization came out and said their projections for Captain Marvel opening weekend, it was boxofficepro.com, not Box Office Mojo, boxofficepro.com. They put out that their estimates was 160 million opening weekend for Captain Marvel. Nobody else was saying that. Nobody else was saying that. And then all the reports that went around were based on the boxofficepro.com. Well, now, like Variety and that have come out, and they're saying industry sources are saying they're expecting $100 million. Sources that never said 160 to begin with. And remember, when that 160 number came out, I said, that's crazy. I'm guessing 90. I thought 90 million would be amazing. 90 million would be a great target for this. And what it would make it one of the highest grossing introduction films of all time, only behind Deadpool and the original Spider-Man with Sam Raimi. If it hits $100 million, if Captain Marvel hits $100 million as an intro movie, as in this is the first time we've ever seen this character, this rendition of this character, that would put it ahead of Doctor Strange, which only opened to 85 million. Only opened to 85 million. But Doctor Strange was open to 85 million. It would put it ahead of the original Iron Man film. It would put it ahead of Ant-Man. It would put it ahead of Thor. It would put it ahead of the first Captain America. If Captain Marvel can make 100 million opening weekend, only 2 films that have introduced their characters have ever made more. It would be a good number. And that's why I thought 90 to 100 was more realistic. It's interesting to note, though, the company, Box Office Pro, that came out with that initial number of 160, guess what? They're still saying 160. So the sources that said 100 million have always thought it was 100 million. The source that is saying 160 is still saying 160. Who's right, who's wrong, we're going to find out. I think it's going to be closer to 100 million. But the point is, the projection numbers haven't changed. It's just that this body that's projecting at this is still saying it's this, and this body that's projecting at this has never said anything other than this. So the projection numbers have not changed. It's just that different people are giving different numbers, but they're all being consistent with the numbers they're giving. All right? So it's not like Box Office Pro said 160 million, and then 2.5 weeks later said, no, we changed our minds, 100 million. No, Box Office Pro is still saying 160 million. And the sources that are now saying 100 million are totally different sources and have never come off that 100 million mark. So the number hasn't changed, it's that we're getting different numbers from different sources. Again, I personally feel it's going to be closer to 100 million. And if it is 100 million, that is a massive success. Because I've said this before, I'll say it again. Unlike Black Panther, that got to have a huge introduction and an awesome introduction in Captain America Civil War, unlike Aquaman that was already introduced to the audiences in Justice League, unlike Wonder Woman who was already introduced to the audiences in Batman vs. Superman, Captain Marvel is more like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Captain Marvel is more like Doctor Strange. Captain Marvel is more like Ant-Man. We've never seen this character until they appear in their first movie. Right? Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Black Panther, we saw them all in other movies before their standalone film. Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, Captain Marvel, this is their first appearance. Their first movie is their first appearance on screen. If Captain Marvel can hit $100 million opening weekend, that's a huge success. Huge. So, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what actually happens there. But again, make this clear. The projection numbers have not changed. Those projecting 160 are still saying 160. Those projecting 100 have never said anything other than 100. So while we get different projection guesses being given, they've actually never changed. So that's important to keep in mind. All right. KW writes, are you a fan of Garden State? I do, because I like Zach Braff. Directed by Zach Braff, who also starred in the leading role. Just curious, one of my favorites. I really like Garden State, and I really like Zach Braff. And I don't know, let me just see here. Zach Braff, John Camp. I'm going to see if I can find this. I doubt I'll be able to, but oh no, I think I will be able to. This is actually right around Garden State. This is, I'm going to see if I can get this a little bit bigger for you. There's me and Zach. This is he and I hanging out in Toronto at one of the events for a film that he was involved in, stuff like that. He was great. I got to hang out and have a couple of drinks with him, even though I don't really drink. I got to hang out and have a couple of drinks with him at this party, and he was great to hang out with. He was a wonderful dude. I really enjoyed him, and I like Garden State. Yeah, I'm a fan of Garden State. I thought he's done. He did quite. I don't know why Zach Braff is not still a major headlining star. I think the dude has incredible charisma. He's got great charm. He's one of those characters. He's got a Tom Hanks quality to him. I'm not saying he's as good as Tom Hanks. I'm just saying he's got a Tom Hanks quality to him that he's got this way of charming you when he's on screen. I think he's got some great natural comedic abilities. I think he should be a bigger star right now than he is, to be honest. Cade W. writes, I got my dad into the show, and now it's our favorite thing to listen to when driving to the closest AMC, which is 1.5 hours away. Wow. We go weekly, and it's great bonding. Thanks for enacting that. Well, thank you so much, Cade, and thanks for introducing your dad to the show, and I hope you guys have a good time listening. Hopefully you're listening to this right now on your way. But man, their closest major theater's 1.5 hours away. I'll tell you what, man, I think I really take for granted the fact that I live a 10-minute walk to a major theater like the AMC Burbank 16, one of the busiest movie theaters, biggest movie theaters in North America, is just a 10-minute walk up the street from me. And by the way, I'm finishing the recording of this. This is being done on Saturday morning. I'm finishing the recording of this companion video, and I'm immediately walking out the door and finally going down to watch Alita Battle Angel. So I'm going to go watch that today. But thanks for coming along, and thanks for letting me join you guys on your drive, and may you love the next movie you go see. Thanks for that, Kate. I appreciate that. Mark C. writes, please tell Ann to let her people know that big boys and small miss G.I. Joe. Well, hang on to your hats, guys. There might be some G.I. Joe news coming soon. There may be some G.I. Joe news coming soon. That's all I'm saying. Keep your eyes open. But I will let her know for sure. She's in the other room right now. I'll let her know that they want, you guys want more G.I. Joe. Okay. Static Skywalker says, hi, guys. I wrote in a while back about McGregor being seen on the episode 9. Said, oh, I remember that, Static Skywalker. I explain in full on my channel. If true, do they age him to fit old Ben, like Oldman was as Churchill? Oldman, not old man. Like Gary Oldman was as Churchill. Love the show. Well, okay. There's a big if in there, Static. If Ewan McGregor is in episode 9, then that's a huge if. If Ewan McGregor is in episode 9, which by no means is a certainty. But if Ewan McGregor is in episode 9, it only makes sense that you do have to age him up a bit to look more like Alec Guinness did as Force Ghost Obi-Wan. Because Force Ghosts shouldn't age anymore. And they shouldn't be able to all of a sudden get younger. So my guess is that they will age him up and make him look more like Alec Guinness, because that would be the most consistent. Again, it's just a guess. I don't know. And again, that's all predicated on the notion that on the assumption that Ewan McGregor's in the movie, which by the way, we have nothing to really validate that, and just because he was seen on a set doesn't mean he's in the movie, right? There have been lots of movies where certain big stars were seen on the set, but they weren't on the set to be in the movie. They were on the set to visit somebody or to say hi to somebody or whatever. So, but if he is, my guess is that they age him up to look more like Alec Guinness Force Ghost. But again, just a guess. Chad's Big Huge Geek Commentary writes, help settle a co-worker debate. More likely to win an Oscar in the future, Emma Watson or Anna Kendrick? I'm voting Watson because of Little Women. I think I would go... Now, let me pull up something here because I don't think Emma Watson has been nominated for... I don't think she was nominated for Wallflower. Maybe she was. No. So Emma Watson has never been nominated for Academy Award. Anna Kendrick already has been nominated for an Academy Award for Up in the Air. Man. I'm going to guess Kendrick. Only because she's already proved she can get at least a nomination. Anna Kendrick's already got one Academy Award nomination on her resume. Best Supporting Actress for Up in the Air, the Jason Reitman film, who is doing the new Ghostbusters movie. Anyway, on that basis, I will go Anna Kendrick. But I have no doubt that at some point Emma Watson will get Academy Award buzz. I think she's great, but Anna Kendrick is also great. Yeah, so I'm going to lean Kendrick. I will lean Kendrick on that. All right, let's move on here. Is Melvin Vargas writes, thoughts on Nom's Oscar live action short films? I'm assuming you're asking thoughts on the films that are the short live action films that are nominated for Academy Awards. I have no thoughts because I've watched like one or two of them. So I'm like most people. I don't go out of my way to watch short documentaries, sometimes it will short animated just because I like the Pixar ones, but honestly, I'm just being transparent with you. I don't watch the short stuff. Not because I hate them. It's just because it's not high priority to me. So I really can't give my thoughts on it, unfortunately. Sorry about that. Lord of Thunder, Prince of Stars writes, we never saw Vision at full strength. In Avengers Age of Ultron, he was just born. In Civil War, he was pulling his punches as not to kill people. In Infinity War, he was severely hurt. There's an argument to be made for that. Now, we don't know that he was pulling his punches. That blast that hit Rhodey in his War Machine armor busted him down pretty bad. So, I don't know. We don't know that for sure. But it is an interesting thought that we just never actually saw him at full strength. Because you're right. For the vast majority of Infinity War, he was dealing with a stab wound to his gut, right? Remember, the very first thing that happens to him in that movie, he gets driven through from behind with that blade. So that's an interesting thought. It's an interesting thought. We never saw him at full strength. We know he's coming back because they've already said the Vision and Scarlet Witch show is coming, so we know he's coming back. Maybe we'll get a little bit more of a glimpse, or maybe they'll say, no, that was still pretty much him at full power, which is still pretty damn powerful. So we'll have to wait and see. All right. Vault of the Future writes, will Endgame top Titanic? Ooh, thanks for all you do. That is an interesting question. And you know what? Vault, that's the right question. Because some people have been asking, oh, will it beat Avatar? No, Avengers Endgame is not going to get anywhere close to Avatar. It's not going to get anywhere close to Avatar. The real question is, can it get close to Titanic? That's the question. Avengers Infinity War made $2.04 billion. Right behind Star Wars The Force Awakens at 2.06, and a little bit behind Titanic at 2.18. And then way 600 million over that is Avatar at 2.78. So it's like Avatar made $780 million more than Avengers Infinity War. Think about, wrap your head around that number. $780 million would be considered a smash hit movie. That's how much more Avatar made than Star Wars The Force Awakens and Avengers Infinity War. $780 million more. So, for that movie to catch Avatar, it has to do as well as it did before, which isn't a guarantee, and it has to make $780 more million on top of that. Not going to happen. But Titanic, at 2.18, 140 million more. Can Avengers Infinity War make 140 million more? Let me rephrase. Can Avengers Endgame make $140 million more than Avengers Infinity War did? That's possible. That's possible. I don't think it will, but it's certainly possible. It's absolutely within the realm of reality. That could happen. Now, I'm not even 100% sure that Endgame will make $2 billion. I'm not 100% sure that Endgame will enter the $2 billion club. And then I'm certainly not 100% sure that it will catch Avengers Infinity War at 2.04. So I don't think it's likely that it catches Titanic, but you're damn right, at 2.18, that's reachable. That is definitely reachable. It is within the realm of possibility. Avatar, not in the realm of possibility. Titanic, I don't think it will, but certainly possible. Certainly possible. All right. Let's see here. Where are we at? Devin Juden writes, with Matt Reeves' noir-driven detective Batman film likely being an original story, what Batman comic/story would you love to see come to the screen? I really don't care. I don't care for a couple of reasons. One, that I want them to just have whatever story they want. I don't want to create expectations for myself that just sets me up for disappointment. But the second reason I really don't care is this. What we have seen in comic book movies is that, let's say, I don't know, this isn't a good one for an origin story, but let's just pull out No Man's Land, right? Let's pull out the No Man's Land storyline. The thing is, what we have learned in these comic book movies is that even when they do movies based on popular stories and comic book runs, they never look anything like the stories in the comic book runs. For example, Civil War. That's nothing like the comic series. That's nothing like the story run of Civil War in the comics. There are a few themes, right? There are a few themes that are there, but for the most part, it's a completely different story than the Civil War in the comics was. X-Men Days of Future Past, totally different from the comic story run of Days of Future Past. Completely different. So, and Age of Ultron, totally different from the Ultron stuff in the comics. Completely different. So, one of the reasons I say, Devin, I don't care is because even if they said, like, they're going to do a No Man's Land, there's going to be Batman, the movie's going to be called The Batman No Man's Land. Well, that's great, but I already know it's not going to be anything like the No Man's Land in the comic books. There's going to be a few similar themes that set up the circumstances, but other than that, it's going to be a completely different story. So I don't bother getting excited about it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Devin, that's why I would say I really don't care. I'm just curious to see what Matt Reeves is going to bring to the table. That's all I really care about. And I'm sure it's going to be an amalgamation of several different Batman storylines and several different Batman tales that they've told over the years. I'm sure it's going to be a mishmash of a whole bunch of those things with an original Matt Reeves flair to it. So that's where I think they're going to go. And why, like, even if tomorrow, my all-time favorite storyline in comic books is the Age of Apocalypse out of X-Men. The X-Men Age of Apocalypse, my all-time favorite storyline of any comic book series. But I'm not going to get all that excited if tomorrow Marvel announces, we're going to do X-Men Age of Apocalypse in 2022. I'm not going to get all that excited because I know it's not really going to be X-Men Age of Apocalypse. Because we've seen that already, right? It might be a great movie, but I'm just not going to adjust my expectations because I already know it's going to be different from the comics. Anyway, thanks a lot for that, Devin. All right, next one up. Tyler Wells writes, soundtrack recommendation. The Oscar-nominated score for How to Train Your Dragon is absolutely incredible and deserves more love and recognition. I'll be honest with you, I don't remember it that much. I just remember loving the How to Train Your Dragon movies. Love the How to Train Your Dragon movies. And I don't remember the music much, though. Even from the most recent one, I don't remember the soundtrack all that much, or the score, I should say, all that much. And probably I should. Maybe I should. But I don't really think about it. But I do love those movies. By the way, guys, see How to Train Your Dragon 3. It's wonderful. Wonderful movie. See How to Train Your Dragon 3, Tyler. I think you're going to be very happy with it when you do. All right. I'm Upset writes, remember Liam Neeson running scene in Taken 3? Man, it's been a while since I've seen that. But yeah, I mean, look, Liam Neeson's a dude, like, I think he's approaching 70. I'll say, hey, Google, how old is Liam Neeson? It didn't hear me. Hey, Google, how old is Liam Neeson? See if it'll answer me now.
Liam Neeson is 66 years old.
Okay, so he's 66, not quite 70. So yeah, his outright sprints, not looking so great. Tyler Wells writes, oops, forgot. One of two. Anyway, two of two. Fun fact. My wife walked down the aisle to the track where Hiccup discovers his new leg. Oh, that's nice. It was beautiful and never forget. That's really cool. Now I'm going to have to go and look up that piece of music. I got to go and look that up. That's really, really sweet. Ann and I, the music we had Ann come down to was Book of Love by Peter Gabriel. And it's funny, and what ties this all in is you brought up Zach Braff earlier. Book of Love was the song they used in the season finale that everybody thought was the series finale of Scrubs, as Zach Braff's character kind of imagines the future, and the song they play over it was Peter Gabriel's Book of Love. It's an amazing song if you haven't heard it. The book of love is long and boring. I mean, no one can lift the damn thing. It's gorgeous. And when they played it over the series finale of Scrubs, and then they came back on another network without Zach Braff and continued Scrubs anyway. But anyway, I still consider that the true series finale. When they did the series finale and they played Book of Love over, it was just fantastic. So a big tie in here, Tyler, to the whole themes we've been talking about today. That's beautiful. Now I got to go look up that music. All right. Green Arrow. Favorite LGBT films? Well, a couple of them come to mind when I think about them. One that there's two particular that I really like. I like all three of these, actually. One is Kissing Jessica Stein. It's a movie that came out around 2000, 2001. It's a really clever, well-written film. Check that out, Kissing Jessica Stein. Another one is But I'm a Cheerleader. And there was that Russell Crowe, Nicole Kidman movie that was just out about the kid whose parents sent him away to a facility. I think Joel Edgerton is in there too, where they try to counsel him out of being gay. Anyway, my one criticism of that movie was I feel like we've already kind of seen this in But I'm a Cheerleader. But I'm a Cheerleader also takes a comedy look at it. It's a nice movie. I really enjoy But I'm a Cheerleader. And then there's Chasing Amy. I love Chasing Amy. A Kevin Smith film starring Ben Affleck. I love Chasing Amy. Always love Chasing Amy. Although I got to put an asterisk besides that, because some people may argue it's not really an LGBT themed film. I think it is, but there are those who would legitimately maybe say they don't consider it that. I do, so I'll put it on my list for the purposes of the discussion. All right, Patrick Durr writes, been watching since my freshman year in high school, 23 today. Wow, Patrick, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming along on the ride of this. Yeah, I've been doing this a while. I am one of the online originals that's still here doing it. It's been a while, but thank you, man, for coming along for the ride. I appreciate it. Still talking movies. That's what we love to do, Patrick. Patrick follows it up with, stay sweaty and keep bringing on the filthy. Thank you so much, man. Nice little tip of the cap there to the late, great John Schnepp. And the filthy will continue to be brought, my friend. Thanks for being here. All right. Alex Perez writes, Ashley could make a great Pink Ranger. I have no doubt. Ashley would make a lot of great. She's a super talented girl. Which is why it's always depressing when I say it, but it's true. I don't know how long Ashley's going to be on our channel, because she gets a lot of auditions and she gets work, and she's both as a model and as an actress, and I don't expect her to be around for a very long time around the channel, but we'll just enjoy her while she's here. Venice Beach Sports Network writes, is standalone Dr. Doom movie a good idea? Well, look, again, guys, Felipe the Sentient Dancing Microphone. You can take anything. If you have a great story idea for it, and you write a great script for it, and you have a great director attached to it, then you bring in really good performers to perform it, and you execute it great, you can make a great movie out of anything. If you can take a movie about plastic building blocks that snap together, the Lego movie, and make the Lego movie, which was awesome, then you can do it for anything. And that's where Felipe the Sentient Dancing Microphone came from. A few years ago, somebody asked a question just like that. I said, look, I could make a movie about, I don't know, Felipe, the Sentient Dancing Microphone. And if I got a great story idea and then execute a great script and then bring in a director who really gets the vision and knows how to execute it and blah, 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 then you could end up with a great movie. A Dr. Doom movie, if you get somebody to crack the code and has a great idea for it, sure, why not? Why not? The only problem is they've never really made a movie about the villain. They've made movies about bad guys who aren't really bad guys, like Suicide Squad. It's a movie about the bad guys, except that they don't act like bad guys. They act like heroes. That's why I'm so curious to see the Joker movie. But yeah, if you got the right idea, why not? Take a shot at a Dr. Doom movie. All right, Courtney Haynes writes, Do you think one reason we get bad video game movies is because there isn't much video game fandom in the upper echelons of Hollywood like there is, for instance, comic books? Just seems they don't attract great directors. No, that has nothing to do with it. It doesn't matter whether there's big... Look, it's just like anything else. You get a story, you make a movie, it either executes or it doesn't. There are people, and I will have this argument, and I will win this argument every time. There are people out there who go... That movie didn't work just because you didn't make it more like the video game. Wrong. Wrong. Video games weren't made to be narrative storytellers. They've been made for gameplay and immersive experiences. Movies are done differently. I think some video game movies have been bad. Look, in every video game movie that's bad, and that's all of them pretty much, they've all been bad for different reasons. Some because they try to be too much like the video game. Some because they just relied on the popularity of the IP and couldn't crack the code on how to turn that into a good narrative on screen. On and on and on and on. Every movie that gets made, people want it to be a hit. Every movie that gets greenlit, they hope will be a hit. And they put as much energy and effort into it as they possibly can. And they hire, they hope, the best people that are available to do it. Every movie does that. Now you can say, they just don't attract good directors. Well, look, who the hell was... who were the Russo brothers? Who were they before they got given Captain America, the Winter Soldier? They'd done some sitcom stuff? What? You know, who was... Oh, I forget. Why am I forgetting the name of the guy who directed Ant-Man? But who was he? Who was he? They bring him to do Ant-Man, does a great job. So it's not like comic book movies are going out and getting Steven Spielberg and Christopher Nolan every time out and getting, Quentin Tarantino to direct every... It's not like they're going out and getting the upper A-list echelon every time. So no, I honestly don't think that has anything to do with it. I really, really don't. I think that has zero to do with it. But that's just my opinion. And by the way, the last comic book movie, Tomb Raider, I think might be the best comic book movie ever made. And it's not great, but I thought Tomb Raider was good. I liked Tomb Raider. How often can you say that about comic book films? Anyway, next, and enjoy the show. I writes, I've seen Alita 4 times now. Wow. And I will see it again. Story is flawed, but I love the character of Alita. She's so amazing and badass. Rosa Salazar did an amazing job. Again, same thing I'm hearing. We talked about this on open mic yesterday. Same thing I'm hearing from everybody. People who love it are like, wow, action and visual effects. And people who don't like it, yeah, but story and narrative and character development. And it's like everybody seems to agree. It seems like people who love the movie and don't like the movie all agree on the same things, though. The visual effects and the action were great. Story and dialogue and narrative, not so good. And then it depends which is more important to you for entertainment. Because for a lot of people, it's essential to have good story, good dialogue, good character development in order to be entertained. For some other people, it's like, no, just have good flash bang, good action, and good visual effects, and that's what entertains them. So depending on, everybody seems to agree, great visuals, great action, and everybody seems to agree, not so great narrative, not so great story, not so great dialogue. And then whether somebody likes or dislikes the movie depends on where on the scales, what's important to them. I'm going to go see it here in about an hour. My fingers are crossed that I like it. All right, James Welsh writes, impressive $98 million for Iron Man at the time. No, not impressive. Groundbreaking. Like insane. When Iron Man opened to $98 million, that was jaw-dropping. It shook the industry. And really, it was that moment, not when they shot the scene with Nick Fury introducing himself to Tony Stark saying, I'm putting together something called the Avengers Initiative. That's not when the MCU really began. The MCU began on that opening weekend when Iron Man made $98 million. And today, some people ridiculously go, oh, that's not that much. No, it's huge. Huge. Especially at that time. Mr. Hero 17 writes, why is Superman being put aside for Supergirl? First the CW, now the DCU. Thoughts? Well, I mean, again, I talked about this before, but it's not what I would do, but look at it from Warner Brothers' point of view. They've done a couple of things with Superman, and it hasn't worked. And they say that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So Walter Hamada seems to be in a place where it's like, you know what? We took a couple of kicks at Superman. It hasn't worked out the way we've wanted to. Let's pull back on Superman and try focusing on other characters for a while. It is not what I would do. I still think with Henry Cavill as Superman, you can make great Superman material that people will love. I believe you can still do it. But I understand where Warner Brothers is coming from. Because they have had several films of Superman in them, and none of them have been overwhelmingly positively received. Despite that, everybody should have loved Man of Steel, but they didn't. But okay. Anyway. So, can you really blame Warner Brothers then? If they go, okay, we tried 3 movies with Henry Cavill as Superman. We've had disappointing results. Time to focus on some other things. We'll pull back on Superman. We'll focus on other things. Again, not what I would do, but I think it would be a little bit naive to not at least acknowledge that, yeah, Warner Brothers, I can see where you're coming from. I can see where you're coming from. I can see it's not what I would do. I don't agree, but I can see why you would think that way, and that's really the big thing. Okay, Jonathan Vigoa writes, have you ever ordered a ticket for the wrong movie? I just came back from Isn't It Romantic when I was expecting Lego Movie 2. I later saw that Lego was at 5 p.m. tomorrow, not today. Enjoy the movie, though. I'll tell you what I have done. I have shown up at the wrong theater for a press screening before. I've done that several times. I've done it at least twice. Because I used to go to all the press screenings, right? Not all of them, but I used to go to the majority of press screenings. So at least a couple of times every week, I was running around to theaters around Los Angeles, going to press screenings. And on a couple of times, I've shown up at a press screening and been at the wrong theater. I have had that happen a couple of times. But I don't think I've ever bought the wrong ticket for a movie. I don't think I've ever done that. Okay. What's next here? Charlie Rogers writes, maybe a dumb question, but do they include Tuesday or Thursday night money in opening weekend box office or just strictly Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? Thanks. I do believe they include, I could be wrong about this, but I do believe Thursday night is included in that. Because it's like at a certain, that's why like Thursdays, it's never the whole day. It's never Thursday at noon, Thursday at 1. It's always Thursday at like 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m., whatever. But I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe that and really appreciate when somebody just wants to take a minute and throw in a nice comment. I appreciate that, man. All right. Koa1708 writes, could Warner Brothers still use the Affleck's Batman script? That's a question that's come up before. Yes, they can, because it belongs to them. All right. Ben Affleck wrote it and was paid to write it for Warner Brothers. The script is theirs. That's why Disney can still use James Gunn's script for Guardians of the Galaxy 2, because they own it. They won't, because they already threw it out. Like, Warner Brothers already scrapped his script. They already scrapped it. So can they still use it if they want? Yes, technically. But will they? I think that's pretty unlikely. Tim Rico writes, what about people who dip their burger in a milkshake? I don't know, man. I will dip some weird things. You know, one of my things to do, I only do it about once a year. But I like Wendy's, what do they call, Frosties? The Frosties at Wendy's, I like those. I only get it about once a year. But when I do, I'll usually also order their French fries, and I dip the French fries in the Frosty. It's delicious. It's sweet, it's salty, it's cool, it's warm. It's delightful. So I take the fries and I dip it in the Frosties. And yeah, and I really like it. I really like it. Burgers and milkshakes. So I bring that thing up about the Frosties because who am I to judge? I like dipping burgers in gravy. I do. I like having a side of gravy, dip a corner of my burger in it, take a big bite. Delicious. Delicious. So would I dip a burger in a milkshake? No. But I dip fries in Frosties, so who am I to judge? I won't judge on that merit alone. All right, guys. That will do. We're now all caught up with this episode of the companion videos. Thank you so much for being here. Had a little bit of a glitch earlier. Hopefully I can fix that. Thanks so much for being here and being a part of us. Don't forget, the John Campea Show, of course, returns on Monday with me, Rob, and Ashley. Make sure you come by and join us for that. Again, guys, thanks for sending in all the questions. I hope we got to all of them here. My name's John Campea, and until my next video, bye-bye.